What's going on, guys? This is Christian Camargo. I am a freelance sound designer and composer, and I am wanting to make this video to talk about freelance sound design and being an in-house sound designer. Now, before I dive into this video, I do some freelance work on the side. I've done many projects, or at least indie projects anyways, collaborated with quite a bit of different game developers over the past few years. But I wanted to make this video because there are probably some of you guys who are on this video watching who want to dive into freelance sound design or considered even thinking about working in the games in general. So first of all, I wanted to say that if you want to get work as a sound designer, you're going to have to really focus on really creating work. And that's why many people will focus on doing some redesigns, working on their sound design demo, and they'll just make some stuff. They'll get a clip or grab some gameplay footage from their favorite game or favorite footage of any sound design that sounds cool to them, and they'll, give their shot at it and redesign the piece. Now, this is a good, decent advice to follow, and I'm not gonna lie. Like, I always thought that if I created the best demo, developers and audio directors would see that and they would be like, oh my gosh, this is the best sound design I've ever heard. Now, don't get me wrong, having a strong demo, a strong body of work on your website / portfolio is the best way to go when you're just starting out. But it's not really telling the whole story as far as who you are as a person. Now, personal branding is the biggest thing, and most sound designers will actually focus as a freelance sound designer in the beginning. Most of us start out as freelancers, and that's pretty much how we dive into this space. I mean, the game industry is all about creating your own opportunities for the most part. I mean, I don't know if most people go to school these days. I know some people go to school for game design, computer science, art, communicate, whatever. Like, these skills and going to school for a bachelor's or even an associate's degree these days, game studios and indie developers they don't really care about that. What they care about the most is, do they trust you? And if you haven't followed already my podcast, I have a podcast called Haunted Pine Design. It is on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts. If you're into the game industry or you're interested in hearing game advice from other veterans, developers, content creators, everyone in that space, go ahead and follow my podcast on there. But yeah, I mean, it's all a matter of building trust, building rapport with people. And how do you go about doing that? Well, I mean, I live in Indiana. I used to be in Fort Wayne, but now I'm like 20 minutes away from Indianapolis. And the game industry field, or at least the game community over here, is a little bit more active compared to the small. Well, Fort Wayne wasn't really small. It still had like around 300,000 people. But really, your community, I would focus on any meetups. You can go to Game Dev Map. You can also go to meetup.com or even Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups especially. And if you find any groups that are involved in the game industry or have game meetups locally or that are somewhat reasonable to travel, do that. Go ahead and travel to those, attend those, whether it's once a month, once every few weeks, or even once every few months. Because these are what get you in people's faces. And when I mean in people's faces, obviously I'm not talking about going up to people and literally selling yourself, selling your services right away. That's not what you do. You talk to people. It's making friends. That's the best way I can describe when you are building relationships with people, or networking, as most people would call it these days. But it's really about making friends. You want to make friends, and you want to just talk to people. You don't want to talk to other sound designers. I mean, you can talk to other sound designers or composers, but really try everything you can to talk to everyone. You're going to get a fun experience talking to different disciplines of developers who have different experiences and different roles in the game industry. You get to learn from other developers, whether it's indie or veterans who've worked in the AAA space. That's a lot of good information to know. Like, definitely don't look past that. The next advice I would say is, I started as a freelance sound designer in 2020. We were locked down. That was during the pandemic. I was furloughed from my job at the time. And at that time, I really, I could either just stay unemployed, look for a job, or I could hustle and practice sound design and just take it from there. And I really did everything I could to really focus on work and bettering my skills as a sound designer at that time. So I had a few friends in the game industry. We did a couple game jams together. I really got my hands dirty, delve into middleware, used Wise, learn how to implement that with Unity, Unreal Engine, and really make a game. Make a game, people. That is what you have to do, is create something. Doesn't even have to be the best. Just finish a game and put it on your portfolio, post it, put it out there, YouTube, whatever, and post it for people to see it. The best advice I learned in my sound design journey is many people really want to see finished work. They want to see how serious you are, because if they see a lot of ideas and just concepts you've worked on, but you never really had an end goal for them, they're just ideas. I mean, it really takes you far when you're able to have a project and you commit and you finish it. So the best advice I would give is give yourself a deadline and ask yourself what goal I would like to achieve, whether it's to showcase some kind of gameplay mechanic, simple mechanics like jumping, running, combat, whatever, and just showcase it and that it works and it's actually people can see it visually, whether that's through a video or a demonstration piece, and show it to other developers. And going back to, freelance versus in-house sound design. Sound design these days is, it's competitive. Every game industry job out there is going to be competitive. Tech in general, film. You have to really just build relationships with people. And honestly, if you have a YouTube channel or if you have a podcast or whatever platform, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, any platform, you have to master the online presence. And I will say I don't have this, skill like fully mastered, I would say. I like to think I brand myself pretty decent for people to hop onto my profile, whether that's Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. They have an idea, who I am, and if they see my podcast or my videos, they're able to get an idea of the kind of person I am, as well as the type of work I've worked on. So my best advice I would say is, if you don't have access to local meetups or you're not able to attend conferences like GDC or any other, I was going to say E3, but rest in peace. But if there's like PAX East, PAX West, anything like that, to just get your face in the presence of other people in that space, you're already ahead of everybody who's just applying online, submitting their resume. Like, you're already 10 times ahead of those people. So the best, thing I can say is, when you're into sound design from a sound design aspect, and even as a composer, I would really say freelance sound design will give you that edge to learn what it's like to be your own boss, have your own responsibility, and create your own work. And, if your freelance career takes off and you're able to get a lot of work, and maybe you want to become a full-time freelancer. And, I've known a lot of great sound designers who are full-time freelance, and they've turned down many jobs that offered them six figures. So, it's really like, what kind of life do you really want to create for yourself? And if you want to work at an in-house job and you want to work in the studio in person and collaborate, you know, in the office and surround yourself in that environment, by all means go for it. But if, you know, anything on this video you guys thought was somewhat helpful, feel free to give this video a like and click the notification bell to get notified of my videos. And again, if you're on, or at least new to my channel, this is my second video I ever made. Last video was a demonstration of me showcasing, you know, how to make gun sounds for Once Human. I'll put that link in the video on here as well as the description. But yeah, if you're new here, subscribe to this channel. I'm also on Rumble as well, and you can follow me on there. But as always, guys, I will see you guys on the next video.